The opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the participants and not necessarily those of 31 UHF. This program deals with controversial topics discussed in a sometimes highly charged atmosphere. It may not be suitable for all family members. Viewer discretion is advised.
Last night we began a two-part special, all right, on child abuse. Tonight you're going to see the second half. Now, I can read this garbage they write for me, and it's not going to tell me a damn thing. What is going to tell you something are some of the stories that we're going to hear in the very beginning of the show, and the judicial system, which is so screwed up, it doesn't care a damn thing about the kids, all right? Tries to claim it does, loaded with unprofessionals, people who want to do the best they can, but the best they can isn't good enough for the kid or for the parents. Tonight we'll finally hear the truth about what really goes on behind the closed doors of some homes and the closed doors of family courts. Stay with us. Starting out part one, all right? Ending number one of our program tonight, let me introduce Donna Calvo and Joanne Calvo, sisters, and I'll start with you, Donna, if you don't mind. This is the second part of a two-part series on child abuse. We've heard stories on our first show that were a little bit shocking, but I think now we're going to hear one from you and your sister that might even shock me. I want the entire story. Don't be afraid to tell it. I know it's kind of tough to tell, but damn it, you'll help a lot of other people when you couldn't get help yourself. Go.
My father started sexually abusing me when I was 12 years old. He would threaten me about my family, that he'd kill my mother, or he'd kill myself, or he'd kill my brothers and sisters. And it went on for 6 years.
What was the sexual abuse he started on you?
What?
Yeah. There's all kinds of sexual abuse. Did he use his hands all over your body?
Everything.
Did he use penetration?
Intercourse, everything. He did it all to me.
Did you know at 12 that was wrong?
No, not at all.
I
didn't know until I was 14.
But you thought as a 12-year-old that maybe this is typical of what daddies do to their daughters?
Exactly. Out of love.
Out of love.
I think.
Did you actually love him then?
I loved him as my father.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that act in itself didn't really make you not love him because you thought it was part of the act of love. Am I correct?
Yeah, until I saw a movie on incest when I was 14.
On television?
On television, and then I realized that was me, and I was the victim of incest.
So did you ever, you say you thought it was a normal thing to do. Did you have any 12, 13, and 14-year-old girlfriends that you ever talked to about it?
No one.
Why? Did he make you?
I was threatened. If I ever told anybody, he'd kill me or my mother or my brother.
But did you think that was love, that part of the love act was to threaten that you were going to kill? Talked about it?
No, but I was just so afraid of him, I did whatever he wanted.
Did whatever he wanted. Do you sometimes want things that maybe were not the normal first time around for sex?
No.
No. Okay. Joanne, the story's kind of horrible. Did anyone else in your family know about it?
All our relatives knew.
All the relatives knew?
All the relatives knew.
How did they know?
They could see when they were coming over to the house and how close my stepfather and Donna was, how she couldn't go anywhere, how she had to sit on his lap, how they were all lovey, huggy, kissy, and they just didn't do anything because they felt that that was my mother's, that was their sister and her kids, and it was her problem or whatever their reasons were, and they just totally ignored our cries for help.
Honey, what about your mom? Did she know?
My mother, she knew all
Still
along.
denies it.
She denies it. She allowed him to sleep in my sister's bed, allowed him to not only physically, mentally, and sexually abuse us, but just allow him to destroy our family, our lives, and...
You just said physically, mentally, and sexually abuse us. There's an underlying word. You mean to tell me you were sexually abused too?
Yes, I was.
He would jump back and forth between bedrooms?
No, we shared the same bedroom. It was all open. It was 2 large rooms that had an opening, and all the kids slept in the same room. We had our beds diagonally, and everybody could see what was going on.
How many kids were there?
We have 7 kids in our family.
7 kids in the family. Stepfather would sleep with you?
The 6 years he slept with me.
It started off with the older
Stepfather would
sister.
sleep with you?
Well, not intercourse, but other things pertaining to that.
So each child, female child, really fulfilled some weird sexual fantasy that he had. Perhaps yours was intercourse, as you attested to. Perhaps yours was oral sex.
It was more touching and touching him, and whenever we didn't want to comply with his wishes, we would get beat, threatened for our lives, our other brothers and sisters.
Would this threatening take place in front of the entire
Sure did.
group? Was
Beating.
your mother in that group too?
Yes. She was afraid more or less because he would beat her, or it's just, I don't know,
You
everybody...
had no telephone in your home.
Yeah, we did.
Your mother never learned how to dial a phone.
She was afraid
She
of him
denied
herself,
everything.
and
Afraid of him so much that she was willing to throw her own children, her natural flesh and blood, to the wolves.
And she's still denying it today. The day that he pleaded guilty, she was in the courtroom yelling at him for pleading guilty. She was telling him, how could you plead guilty? You didn't do nothing. And he did, and she knows it, but she just still can't admit it to herself.
I believe he pleaded guilty to 1,448 counts.
No.
He was indicted on 1,448
He was indicted on that.
counts of sexual abuse. Do you have an older sister?
yes,
She was also sexually abused.
started off with her first, and then went to Donna, then myself, and then supposedly maybe could have been my younger sister who was removed
Was
for her
removed from the
protection.
home?
Right,
Child protection removed her from the home.
right,
Your stepfather's in jail.
yes.
On a plea bargain, he got 2 to 6 years. So we're sending a message then to the sickos out there. It's okay for you to mess around with your children because you're only going to get a couple years in jail because you'll end up being able to plea bargain it out. Your mother, did she get any time in jail?
No. We have a case going with her now.
I'm dropping the charges against my mother
You're dropping the charges against your mother?
because
Why?
for many, many years I felt I hated my mother because, she didn't do anything to protect us, didn't do anything. But I feel now through therapy that the problem being is everybody blames my mother, but she's lying to herself so much that she doesn't believe what's going on, that she really believes that nothing happened. She really has come to the conclusion that
You love
nothing
your
has
mom and you
happened.
pity her.
It's a love-hate thing with my mother. I love her and I hate her.
How about you, Donna?
I love my mother, but I hate her also.
Kind of pity her? Is that love more like pity?
Yeah, that's what it is. Exactly what it is.
Would you ever live with your mom again?
Never, never. I don't even think I'd ever talk to my mother again. I see my mother in the street today, and she'll laugh with her friends, and make jokes, and so I really...
She can still carry on a life of happiness.
Exactly. She walks with her head up high in the
Building a
air.
barricade that eliminates the truth and the facts of the case from her, but making sure that you and your other 2 sisters walk the streets with barbed wire around your brain because of what you've gone through.
Something that we have to live with for the rest of our lives. We'll never get over it. It's a scar. It never goes away.
Well, it won't go away, but you'll learn how to live with it.
You'll have to learn how to deal with it more.
You'll learn how to deal with it. You'll learn how to live with it. You'll learn that it makes you a stronger person in many respects. Makes you a better person. Makes you a person who can, perhaps really love other people and understand when they have a problem, respond to it. Your mother's living in her own hell. But she lit the match and she started the fire. We want to find out if we're brainwashing our kids. You'll see in just a minute. Stay with us. It's structured in a way that we bring out the information piece by piece. I don't happen to like the way it's structured. I'm going to leave the structure right now. I'm going to come back to you, Donna, because I don't think we're through with you and your sister's story first. I think it's important to let kids know who are in an abusive situation that they can go outside the home and talk, all right? You didn't know that. You didn't do that. You're told by your father he's going to beat the hell out of you. He's going to kill your mother. Well, first of all, he's a perverted pig, all right? I know you probably have some love in your heart for him still because of the experience you went through with him. It's probably very normal, and you'll tell kids, and Donnie, you can probably back it up, it's very normal for you to love someone who's abused you. You still feel a certain love. Now tell the kids, please, that there's nothing wrong with hating that person and seeing that that person is buried forever at the bottom of some cell in a jail. For God's sakes, all we do is we get up and we hear story after story after story of people who have been abused, and the stories always are, but basically he was a nice person. This was the only thing that he did wrong. Let me tell you, Hitler and Mussolini were probably nice people. The only thing they did wrong was kill people. Right. Let's get off the mollycoddling of these sick B-A-S-T-A-R-D-S. See, I didn't say it, I just spelled it out. Right? Therefore, young kids won't know what I spell. Let's get off and really tell the story. How do you feel now? What would you like to do to the guy if you had the chance?
What I'd like to do?
Yeah.
You want to know what I'd like to do, Mort?
Yeah.
I'd like to torture him. I'd like his toenails cut off. I'd like for him to suffer the way he made us suffer, that we're going to suffer the rest of our lives. I'd like his thing cut off, his fingernails cut off, his eyeballs taken out.
I feel the same way that my sister does. I want to see him die. I don't want him to, I want him to go in jail and suffer. I want them to rape him. More. That's what I want them to do to him. I want them to do what he did to me.
That's healthy. That's normal. That's natural. Don't sit back and say you forgive. No one's asking you. No one's asking you. No one should ask you to be Jesus Christ. He's the only one who could forgive that and die on a cross for it, all right? You don't have to die on a cross. That SOB is the one who should die on a cross. Now, your mom, she was an accomplice. During, before, and after the fact. Your mom, your natural flesh and blood, from whose loins you entered this world. Can you really look at me and tell me that your mother wasn't culpable and wrong in this association, regardless of how sick she was in her mind, regardless of that, she had a duty, a parental, a mother's responsibility to call someone on the phone.
Mort.
Gabrielle, you've gone through it in the 50s. We're now almost in the 90s. Does the mind change?
The thing that I'm worried about is that I see it becoming progressively worse, more predominant, much more so in the family as opposed to years ago when it was a stranger.
Not really a stranger. It was usually a neighbor.
Well, a neighbor.
A little girlfriend's father. Those ways.
Okay,
right?
I want 1 second with you.
Well, you got a second with America, so take it. Hold that up. I can't see what you're talking about.
This child adored you. She called you Mighty Mort. She's dead. I just got the phone call this morning. She wanted you to have this. She was waiting to watch this program on child abuse. And I'm in a lot of pain tonight, again, because I got the call this morning. In fact, that's why David couldn't get a hold of me this morning, because I was running around early this morning. I got this for her, took her to the hospital. This is a child that was raped by Daddy. By Daddy. And he is walking the streets today, and she died from the trauma of this abuse. And this she wanted you to have. And also she wanted to know if you would show 2 of my posters, because they are very important in the work that I'm trying to do. Mort.
I lost another
Take a break.
one.
Take a break. We'll be back in a
I
minute.
lost another one.
Nick Andrian. Let me go to Nick at home base here, all right? Nick, is it possible in our efforts to find the truth, we sometimes brainwash our kids into seeing and thinking things which really never happened?
Yeah, that happens very frequently with state-hired psychologists who are selected by either the courts or by the family protection system that want to find abuse where it doesn't exist. Now, we're not talking at all about this terrible situation here.
Why do they want to find abuse?
Well,
To keep your bureaucracy
well,
on
it has a
payroll?
lot to do with that, obviously, that there's federal funding, there's the intangible of
Okay,
power
well,
play.
let's not get into the esoteric crap, all right? How about anatomical dolls? Are they a valid means for getting children to tell their stories of abuse? Now, in the first show, we heard about a little girl, all right? We
Right.
met Samantha, 2 years old, who had an anatomical doll presented to her at the age of 3, all right? At the age of 3, she did not take her finger and point to the anatomical doll, the female anatomical doll. She took the daddy's finger and used it, all right?
Well,
No one could have trained her to do that.
Well, you know, assuming that that's entirely the case, the fact is, though, that the anatomically correct dolls have been banned in every Western European country and are used only in several countries, mainly Canada, United States, and Australia.
Why, are we supposed to look at Western European countries as,
No.
as the cradles
but-
of civilization?
No, not that, but they tried them there 10 years ago, and all the research that they did in those countries, England, France, for example, or I'm sorry, yeah, England, France, and Spain, showed that they were not valid according to the statistics, or according to the research that was done. And in fact, in the United States, there's been absolutely no research whatsoever. And again, you can contact the National Association for the Prevention of Child Abuse in Bethesda, Maryland, and they too will confirm that there's no research that shows that these dolls are valid. Now, there may be other means of trying to get to the bottom of what does constitute real
How
child
much
abuse.
money does the National Association for the Protection of Abused Children spend every year to protect the children? You know?
I don't know, but they have a huge budget, and a lot of it comes from Washington.
What do they do with that money? Do we know?
I'm not sure they're accountable for it. I can't answer for them
If
because
it comes
they're...
from Washington,
Well, there you go.
it's taxpayers' money.
Absolutely.
They're damn well accountable to us for how they spend our money.
Well, unfortunately, it's not always
I mean,
the
I've
case.
heard twice now in 2 shows, they don't agree with the FBI figures. They have never released any figures. I don't know where the hell I should trust them or I should trust the FBI. I want to go to Gabrielle, all right? Gabe, where's Gabe? Gabe, I imagine in several cases we overreact or people overreact on these anatomical dolls, etc. Isn't it really worth it to protect our kids?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At the cost of putting innocent people in jail?
Maybe.
Or taking your children away?
Maybe.
Speak into
Isn't
the
it
microphone,
better-
sir.
Isn't it better that an adult spends maybe a couple months in jail till you prove it?
Sir, whenever one
kid is
innocent
killed?
person is put in
How many
jail
kids
or
have
had
been
his
killed
child
because
taken
of
away, there's
mistakes
something
the
wrong.
other way?
Please, we've got a system. We've got a system for getting innocent people off the hook. Why don't we use it?
All
Why
right,
don't
but
we
here's-
find out if they're
all right,
guilty
all
or
right,
not?
all right, but let's
We
do
have
this.
to protect
Just
the
like Donnie and I were
children.
talking about in the first show. You have to have an interim period where those children are protected, all right?
Why?
You also... Why?
Why?
What the hell do you mean, why? Are you nuts?
Nope.
You must be.
No.
Get him out of here. He's a coward. Get this guy. Get him out, I said. Get him out.
I think I should be heard.
Don't you
All
ever
you gotta
get me
do is go
down
to a
again.
jury right
when
now,
you
sir.
say kids don't
No.
need to be protected,
They
you
gotta
are a
be-
nutcase.
I want them protected, sir.
Oh, thank you,
By
sir.
going to a probable cause jury. That's the people who make that decision.
How
Not you,
about,
not me.
how about the time it takes to get to a probable cause jury?
2 minutes.
What do you do with the
2
kid
minutes.
then?
5 minutes.
Don't tell me 2 minutes.
That's where the system
Wait
is
with
goofing
reality,
up.
you
That's what I'm trying to do. That's where the
the
system is goofing up. It's
Hold on.
not going to a probable cause jury right now like
wanna-
it's supposed to.
Excuse
You want to
me.
hear about the way
them standing
judges...
by, ready to work on
Sir,
it.
sir,
That's
use
what-
reality.
He has...
Minutes.
That's why I'm here. Wait. That's why I'm here, sir, because it's screwed up. It's not working right. It's not working right. I know that.
Let's hear the
We
judicial
know it's not
system.
working right. That's what I'm raising hell about.
Let me hear it, sir.
First of all, my children, I have a beautiful daughter and a beautiful son,
I want to hear
7 and
about
9
the
years
system,
old. They've
sir.
been raped by
Show
the judicial
pictures.
system. I've had a man, I got to give you a little background. He's a suspect in 2 murders. He's a former officer. He's been protected by the police. The DA hasn't done their job. The police, district attorney, and the judges. 6 different judges have heard abuse on my children. 2.5 years ago, my children were tied up with ropes. They had guns put to their head, baseball bats swung at them. 2 prominent doctors, psychologist and a pediatrician of 41 years, came before the court and to the district attorney and the police, and nothing was done. Morton,
The system protected innocent.
8 years of trying to protect my children, and I finally kidnapped my children. The same DA that would not file charges against... The same district attorney that would not file charges against this perpetrator with the guns and the ropes. When I took the children, I was apprehended 2 weeks later trying to get into Canada. I came back to fight for my kids. I was prosecuted on aggravated parental interference. Now, let me tell you, we're going to fight it. You know what the judge says? We're going in on a compulsion defense. Doctor's reports, police reports, professional reports. You know what the judge says? You can't use those witnesses and you can't bring forth those exhibits. And I'll tell you what that was all about. Because the judge didn't want it on the record how miserably the SRS, the police, the DA, and the judges had done to these children.
Another cover-up. I want, Gabrielle, wait a second. I want you to see something at home and the folks in the audience on a monitor. I want you to see a young man by the name of Patrick Bissell, all right? He was a principal in the American Ballet Theater by the age of 21. 2 days after Christmas of 1987, he was found dead with a combination of cocaine, Valium, methadone in his body that the coroner said he would not have felt the gunshot. May we see this, please?
Drugs were only the vehicle that Patrick chose to go to hell on. The real tragedy was in his childhood, in that this beautiful child had the life beaten right out of him. He was terrified of me. He wasn't the brave little boy he pretended to be. He was terrified, but he stood his ground. And I would see on his face the fear that I felt when I knew my father was going to beat on me. And I just had to keep hitting him until that look went away. Children who are abused grow into puzzled adults who never know which direction really to take. And Patrick was no exception to that. He was just living out the adult life that every abused child lives out, only he lived it out in the public.
Coke. But we all know it wasn't really coke, don't we? It was child abuse. Donna, do you think because of your abuse, you'll become a child abuser when you have children of your own?
No way. No way, because
How
I would
would you
never,
prevent
I have a daughter right now who I love very, very much, and I would never, ever abuse her in the way that I was abused. I mean, fine, she does something.
Right. That's what you want.
Do it every time.
She would rather sit and prove herself innocent than have the kids.
I've been in the courts already, and they have sat there and told me that I am guilty because I have a potential to do this.
So
I'll make sure it doesn't happen because I'm the father. And I'll tell you one thing about her. She would never abuse nobody.
Shut up.
Let me say.
You
don't know what it's like until you've been
I
there.
have been through the court system because someone decided that because you have the potential, I'm going to put you make lies, and you're going to go to court, and you're going to sit there in the court system because we know you will sit for months and months and months on end without getting a court hearing. I, to this day, have never gotten my charges that were brought against me, even to a fact-finding hearing, to be able to sit there and say, hey, look, they're all false. They dropped them.
Would you not rather that than have
them.
1,700
kids
a year
dropped
killed?
them, you want to hear what's the funny part? Is one of the people they had in my home kept sitting there telling me, gee, I don't want to go to this other woman's house. She'd make phone calls up to Diapers, tell them, I don't want to go to her house. She's not going to get any service today.
Tell them how they were taking pictures of your
so
kids.
abusive to me that I do not want to go to her home.
Tell them how they were taking
she sat there and
pictures.
said, wait a minute. She sat there and said, I love being at your house. It's so peaceful here. It's so great. Your kids are wonderful. Everything. She loves.
Do you have your kids? Do you have your kids?
They were never
Video recorded those bastards when they came in our house. They kept hiding their faces. They refused to come in the house and be videotaped. They went to the judge and they said to the judge, hey, judge, they won't let us in. They keep video recorded. The judge says, okay, tell them they can't video record anymore. They can audio record if they want, but no video. And all of a sudden, it was all different then.
We have lost over $10,000. We have got a second mortgage on our house, and they keep saying nobody was hurt by this. But what they keep doing is sitting there saying, I don't want to go to these miserable cases, these horror stories that should be sitting there going to. They're saying, I don't want to go to those people. What's the easy way out?
Well, I'll tell you something. The court system takes the easy way out because we take the easy way out. We occasionally do a television show, and we walk away saying, boy, we really helped the world. We help nobody unless you get involved and kick the court system's ass just like you have to do, and we'll be back in a minute.
You're watching Morton on UHF.
Someone also said from our studio audience right before we came on with this segment that false allegations are a form of abuse too, and that's absolutely true. There should be some guideposts on false allegations. Whenever there is a pending separation or divorce, there should be some thought given as to what the possibilities are when an allegation is made. Whenever someone has had a bad fight within 2 or 3 days in a family, there should be some thought. There should be a code, Gabrielle, a code that can be developed by these so-called great psychologists and psychiatrists, all right?
It's called the Bill of Rights, sir.
I understand that, sir.
Please.
I understand the Bill of Rights as well as you do, and I understand that all of us have abrogated our responsibility by standing by and letting the situation get this bad without doing something. So let's do it. Wait a second. I asked Gabrielle.
No.
I know the Bill of Rights, pal. You bet your buns I do, Pop.
Morton, let me tell my story.
All right, so let me...
I didn't come here for my health, okay?
All right, good.
Now, you guys want to hear a story, you listen to me. My parents gave me away at 7 days old. I'm going to consolidate this into one quick story. I was put into 2 different foster families.
At the same time?
No. One from 7 days old to 11 years old, then from 11 until I was taken out of custody at the age of 18. All right. Now, you want to know about abuse, okay? Physically, mentally, verbally, and sexually, okay? I was molested at the age of 6, maybe about to the age of 10, by my foster's mother daughter, by her daughter. Oral sex, things of this nature. I was beaten by the mother, okay? I got beat from everything from a switch to a rubber hose. If it wasn't for the foster father at the time, I'd probably be dead. Because a lot of times I would just be beat. Okay? Things like, I used to be afraid of the dark. They used to take me and put me in the basement and dare me to come up the stairs. I was put into another family. And then you have the verbal abuse, like, oh, your mother threw you away. That's why you're no good. See that woman on TV? She takes drugs. She's trying to destroy your baby. That's why all y'all so screwed up. Okay? I'm just only touching the bottom line of it. But you know what? This happened. I was born in 62. I'm 26 years old right now. This is my first time coming out saying this. and you want to hear about false allegations, okay? False allegations, I'm not giving no names. I'm not going to give any names. But if the person ever watches this show, I'll challenge her to a one-on-one with you any day, Morton, on the allegations. Sure. And you know what? And this is really going to bug you guys out. Okay? 'Cause now listen to this. I was taken away. She had me removed from the family at the age of 11 and put to another home. Okay? But I was brought back to this family within about a year ago. And can you imagine this person looks at me, and I'm living, but see, the husband doesn't know this is going on. And I look at her, and she looks at me, and she actually acts like nothing never happened. And you know what? They were going through a divorce proceeding, okay? And I feel like she thinks I'm a walking time bomb when the bomb just exploded, okay? Okay.
And I hope that they're going through a divorce proceeding.
Yeah.
I hope that as they view this show tonight, the husband sees you, the wife sees you, and she knows her number is up. She ain't even going to get a Subway token out of that one, baby.
What I want to say. What I would like to say. They talk about, look, hold on. They talk about diapers, this and that, okay? You have the pros and cons in it, okay? You have people, and you have low-down women and low-down men who force kids to say these things to get back at the other. You have two allegations. You have, hold. You also have the people like me who come straight out and say, I'm old enough now. I didn't know no better then. I was afraid, okay? But when it all boils down, it's still going on. Right. We shouldn't fight against each other.
It's 10 times more likely to happen in foster care than it is within an intact family.
Yep. Absolutely.
How false accusations could be made, and how you think that you could teach a 2-year-old to repeatedly tell a story and have fear instilled upon in her, and you're going to tell me false accusations in a divorce because my husband said that too. And I'd like to know how you think a 2-year-old could be taught something like that. And 6 months later, remember and do exactly what she had done and be afraid of a man for 2 years.
Madam, I told you before that I did. Listen, you want the answer? I told you before I didn't doubt your story. But let's put it into perspective.
So let's put it into perspective. So these girls are young adults till they have enough courage to come forward? Wait, I'd like to say something.
Put it into perspective.
No, you put it into perspective because I'm the mother. Their mother didn't have enough courage to do what I did. But now why is it that our court system... court system...
I told you before that I believe what you were saying. Now, what's your beef?
My beef is that our court system is penalizing me and my family because... Why? Because I found out too soon before my daughter had intercourse, before my daughter's old enough to testify in court. And now you're going to say false accusations because we can't prove it because she can't go on a
false accusation.
Or before that daughter killed that father.
That I was. I'm just making the point that I shouldn't have to wait.
All right, but what we have to know, Jill, well, and you wanted to say something.
Yeah, we still have...
Wait a second, please.
This young man...
Hold on, please.
This brother over here, I can relate to him very well because, like, I'm 29 right now. And it was going on, and I'm from Philadelphia, and it was going on in my family for the longest. And nobody wanted to get involved. You understand? And every time I ran away...
Here we have, you're right, but here we have a woman, all right, who has done the right thing and protected her child. Now, there is no doubt, as this gentleman says, there are the times when it's a false accusation. When the accusation is made, baby, your life is ruined forever. Your life is ruined forever. So how do we take... Wait a minute. Wait a second, I'll run it. You wait a minute. All right,
go ahead.
How do we take a court system that isn't working? How do we take a court system that bows and kowtows to a bunch of imbecilic boobs at diapers and places like that and protect the child and still protect the parent?
I'd like to show you that if you'll have me on here to do so.
Do it right now.
Certainly.
You've got exactly 1 minute,
The way you do it is to start making the probable cause jury system work. Whenever somebody's accused, you get the accuser, bring him into the courtroom, tell the defendant to come in. We want you to answer. You can't order him to, but you tell him to come in, and then let a jury of their peers make up their minds as to what's right and what's wrong.
What do you do with the child in the meantime?
you send them back in the home.
Hold it. No, the Constitution says that when you've got strong presumptive evidence that the authorities can work independently, they can go grab that child. If they could convince a jury afterwards that they had to, they didn't have enough time to do anything else.
You're talking about putting a jury together in a matter of hours.
They should have them available right off the bat. They're supposed to be in
We'll be back in just a second with our audience.
Because we got problems.
Susan, zip it, gang, for just a second, because I want to go to Susan Bergstrom, who's, I believe, a school psychologist. Susan,
yes.
You've heard the better part of 2 shows now on this topic. Anything you can tell me? I mean, you see that the emotions run high.
Absolutely.
And there is validity on both sides of the aisle here. But I think you, too, must realize there is a real problem with the court system and with that system designed to protect the family and keep it together, which destroys it, pulls it apart, sometimes very injudiciously.
But I'm going to take you somewhere else.
Okay.
I'm going to take you to prevention.
Okay.
I'm going to take you to giving children rights and re-educating adults. I'm going to take you to programs. Our program is from 3 to 7 for real little kids. We have to tell children that they have the right to say no, that they can tell secrets. We, in this country, have brought our children up to respect adults, that anything an adult says is okay, and what an adult says they have to do. And we've got to re-educate ourselves to say, sometimes adults do things to little people
I think in many cases
that is not right, and then they have not just they have the right to go to as many people as they have to go to.
All right, but
Tell
I
their story.
think that can be taken a step further. All right, if you're talking about re-educating kids, I want to know who the hell's re-educating my kid. I want to know what their philosophy is. I want to know what their political leaning is.
Okay.
We talk about we give the kids rights. That's great. But how about giving some of the rights back to the parents? The right to discipline effectively without brutalizing or injuring the child. Right? So if we now turn our little geniuses into junior Gestapo agents so that Mommy hit me in the back of the head today with her hand, it hurt, I'm going to a neighbor and say, Mommy beats me, all right? So while Mommy is explaining that she didn't beat, and they're taking films of the child all over to make sure there's no bruises, no former breaks that were there. I mean, you really got to educate.
You're attributing to a very young child the thought process that's in adults, and that's not what children do.
I'm not contributing a cognitive reasoning power, all right?
Okay.
That does not become cognitive reasoning, I grant you, until you're probably 14 to 16 years old.
Correct.
However, a kid does know, kids manipulate their parents from the age of 4 months.
But a young child is not going to, who has no experience, doesn't make it up from nowhere. If I've never seen, Wait a
second. Every kid today, 4 years old, probably watches 20 hours of television a week. You're going to see it on TV.
I'm going to go right back to what this program is on child abuse and what we have to do to prevent it. Where is your major focus? It's on the children. Who is better able to protect themselves, the adult or the child?
Sometimes in this society, the child.
I can't. I have to tell you that I disagree.
Can I just say something?
That an adult is absolutely more able to.
I want to know, still, Susan, I still want to know what are the qualifications, what is the bibliography of the person who's going to be teaching my kid. I want to know if you were abused.
You know what?
I want to know if you liked your mother and father. I want to know if you had an uncle you didn't like.
I agree with
you. I want
you.
to know all of those things.
When we get volunteers for our program, they go through a police check.
Means nothing.
Okay?
Means
when
nothing.
I mean,
all these guys in the last show that I read, the teacher of the year, the priest at the boys' school, all of these guys were wonderful, amazing citizens who abuse kids.
Then you have the right, as any parent does, to get involved in your school system, to preview the program, to watch the person that's doing it, and we encourage parents to do this all the time. Come and see. Well, but you're asking me about something that
all right,
I don't
so
know.
I guess
I'm
the
talking
show is
about
on
a
diapers,
program.
right? What is the hour show about? We have, excuse me, the opportunity, thank you, to have an hour here to help fight child abuse. The system does... Wait, excuse me.
Wait a second. Please let me hear this lady.
Please don't be rude. You
Please let me
spoke.
hear
Let
this
me
lady.
have a chance.
Please, go ahead.
Okay?
There's also child abuse by the state.
Please let me hear this lady. That's the last time I ask.
The system needs changes. There is no doubt about it. Can I, please?
I'm agreeing with you.
Thank you. Does anyone here think that we can change this system overnight? Wait, please. No. Can it be changed in this hour? No. It takes time to make changes. Now, what we're saying is, Playing It Safe is not a controversial program. It's available to anyone in the United States, and what it does, it teaches children that they have rights, so that if something is happening to them, and Downey, and we spoke about it before, if something is happening to a child, let them have the right to say no and to tell someone. When ultimately we turn to this point, the point is, what is the most important thing that we have to deal with this 1 hour? Really?
Protecting our children.
It's letting them know, even on the show or out on the street. I've been out on the street with many thousands...
Step into that microphone, pal.
Excuse me. I've been out on the street with thousands of feet of signs in reference to children, and all that showed up was 10 people at a time. Everybody's complaining. Why don't they get together with me and stand out in the street and do something about it?
Why are you yelling?
Come on. What the hell? I mean, come on. Oh. You know.
Gabrielle?
There is one thing that I would like to address, along with Paula. This past hour is extremely important in providing the protection for our children, educating them, the Safe Again crusade that I'm involved in, the Kid Buster character, the posters, along with what Paula's doing with playing it safe,
also,
is to
Gabrielle,
help these children now. We've gotten all the political, all the bureaucrats, all of the frustrations of all involved in the past couple of hours. And it exists. But now, please, we're losing these children.
If nothing else, we got to remember the primary thrust is to protect the kids.
Right.
But a secondary thrust is to make sure that no one else is injured unnecessarily as the parent, all right? Because of a judicial system that is unresponsive to the needs of the entire family unit in this country. We've destroyed. They systematically have destroyed the family unit in this country, and they wonder why abuse is on the rise. Because no one knows what their role in the family is anymore. These people are trying to define it. I congratulate them. You must now light the fuse that'll explode a damn bomb under the pants of the bureaucrats and make them responsible again. We'll be right back. Go right to you.
I lived a nightmare for 8 years of my life. That man never got to court because that man died on my 20th birthday. All right, if I had opened my mouth sooner and we had gotten to court and he was still alive, I bet we'd still be waiting to go. And in the meantime, I'd still be living hell. As of now, the kids I have are the most important thing to me in my life. And because of one person, the ones I have are the last ones I'm ever going to have.
But you won't ever beat those children.
I would never
You won't
lay a
ever
hand
abuse
on
those children.
I will never lay a hand on those children.
You can be sure of that.
I know I won't. I see the hell I went
Let me tell you,
through.
this outfit that we were talking about, Liaison, for those of you at home who want your kids to have a place to contact, 516-741-0620, for this little publication, which in a youngster's way tells a story that kids can understand. Downey Lalonde, who puts his money where his mouth is because he helps the Jewish children because he himself was one. He wanted to make a comment. I wanted to say, after all this time, all the people out there with cameras on, all the kids out there listening, all of that great going back and forth from the offices and the organization. In the meantime, kids, if someone is doing you wrong, you think they are, say something, do something, you have the right to, you have to believe and love yourself enough to do something about it. Adults, if you're doing something wrong, you know somebody is, get involved. Don't be such a wimp and just say, oh, my neighbor's doing this, what thing to your thing. Get involved. Everybody's got a good thing. Come this May, you watch your champ fight for the title of